Welcome back to Empirical Animal Podcast Experiment. My name is Piotr Sel, and today's guest is Oscar Vinter, an artist, composer, and audiovisual researcher working across film, music, photography, and writing. We talk about project-based research, that is, using the medium to explore the medium itself, rather than relying on theory alone. We discuss Oscar's multidisciplinary approach and also touch on neurodivergence, exploring how sensation, repetition, and embodiment shape his creative output. And lastly, how to maintain fun and spontaneity in the art-making long-term through collaboration, experimentation, and staying authentic. So, Oscar, it's great to have you here. Really happy to be reconnecting after 2 years since we met at Wigwell Lodge. So that was the occasion that your wife, Charlie, and creative partner, was a resident, and you along her at this Wigwell Lodge. So we can touch on that, but I had a brief insight into your creative life. I saw that you recreated your music studio over there, and you just kept busy, right? And then after that, you've output the song and with the music video, Mirrors, which is absolutely beautiful. So that features lots of moments from that time at Wigwell Lodge. So why don't we start from there? So it's been now almost 2 years, I think, or 3 years approaching.
Yeah, 2026 now. So the residency started in February 2023, and then went on into the summer, July, and I think late June, July, that's when we first met, and you came to kind of document Charlie's process and time as a PhotoWorks ampersand artist in residence. Thinking about that moment of time was both a really interesting moment for me, because I was finishing my PhD, but also looking forward to exploring different creative ideas and projects which I hadn't been able to pursue during that time, including kind of my music as well. And Mirror was a song which had been around for a long time, perhaps since 2015 in different versions of it. It always existed for a while, and it was always there. I always really liked it. It just sat on my hard drive, and one day, I think during the residency, it just came on accidentally on my iTunes on my computer, and I was like, oh, this is really funky, this is really cool. Maybe I should actually finish it, change certain elements and release it. So it became a lot quicker. It was a lot slower, but it still had that kind of South American kind of bossa nova like feel, and I just added more guitars basically. But the residency kind of really seeped into that, the nature and the surroundings as well, and obviously that's reflected in the music video. I think the entirety of it is filmed there in Wigwell Lodge in Derbyshire, on the border of the Peak District. And the name of the piece does come from the Andrei Tarkovsky film of the same name, his 1975 masterpiece, which I think is one of the greatest.
That's what I remember. You're a big fan of Tarkovsky.
I can speak for days about that film, and it's had such a huge influence on me, both as an artist and just thinking about life and time and music and the image. So it's like a homage in many ways, and kind of takes and borrows certain visuals from Tarkovsky's kind of broader work, not just Mirror as well. But it's meant to be slightly tongue-in-cheek, the references, and playful. But lots of elements of like the magic realist mixing in with kind of just the nature and the surrounding kind of environment, which was so nice to kind of be immersed in as well. And then, that was released both on streaming services and the music video as well. And, it got really nice responses to it. Loads of people seem to kind of connect with it and enjoy both the music video as well as the song.
I absolutely love it. So I think really it's a beautiful piece. And but I was wondering if that was the release of that music video, the song, was like a closure of the experience at Wigwell Lodge, was like some kind of summary, because obviously there was the artistic output that Charlie had, and you were participating in that process. So it was in many ways shared experience, but then this was like your personal piece, which still was created during that period. So did that had this sort of meaning for you?
Yeah, and it's interesting that moment of time, because I also produced another film during that time, and in a couple of weeks' time, end of January at the Barbican, it's actually being screened. So I'm really excited about that. And that is taken from kind of material which was shot originally for Mirror, but didn't make the music video. And I kind of, at the time of making that film in 2024, I kind of filmed other elements and then stitched that together with footage from Wigwell Lodge. What was your...
Is it a new film, or is it the Dance Your Body Electric?
It's Dance the Body Electric.
I saw that when it streamed. So beautiful. I mean, congratulations for screening at the Barbican. So what was the occasion? What is the
it's I'm going to get the information up so I don't get any of the details wrong, but it is part of the Young Barbican series, and it is being programmed and curated by the wonderful Emily Simmons, who also runs the Crypt Cinema Archive. But it is, there's going to be numerous short films and films exploring dance, movement, and disability. And it's also going to be a relaxed screening, so it's more accessible for lots of attendees. But all the films are in conversation with one another and exploring kind of people's unique subjectivities and how they kind of move in the world, how their embodied experiences of engaging with the world kind of is reflected in the work that they make and how they see and engage with the world as well. Really looking forward to it, really excited.
I mean, I'll make sure to be there as well, because sounds really interesting. I think that like this is really interesting aspect for me, and this is why specifically I'm interested in music, the embodiment element that because there is perhaps some performative component, or can be, to painting, say, but I think that music takes it one step further, right? That the relationship with time and the present moment is quite a bit different. And, the same thing likely is present in film, right? Which is also a time-based medium. So we have here a little bit of an outline. I'm really happy that there's something coming up that we can promote here. But now we have like kind of think about the audience, like a general picture. So you are an artist operating in different mediums. So here we mentioned film, music. And very much, you're capable of operating like a one-man band. You can handle everything. You also play multiple instruments. So with that little bit of intro we just did, how do you see yourself? How do you present yourself as a creative, as an artist? Like, what was like the core of your artistic persona, or I mean, I think this is not like a separate persona, just your artistic nature.
Wow. Yeah, really interesting and a huge question to answer. One of the ways that I've been slowly becoming to kind of define myself, and that's in relation to some other historical figures, which I'm not saying that my work is anything to their standard or, working in a particularly similar way, but figures like Jean Cocteau and Pier Paolo Pasolini, they are working across a whole range of mediums, whether that is from poetry to writing essays to novels to creating film, theatre, and kind of also sculpture and the visual mediums of painting as well. Whilst I'm not a painter myself, I do create collage work, I do photography and create films as well. I don't know if there's like a particular word for it, but I think every medium and the work that is produced in that medium is very specific and unique to that medium. I think that medium itself imbues the artwork that you create, or whatever it is, with the kind of fingerprints and the hallmarks of that medium. I don't think there is necessarily any equivalence between different mediums I think, they almost, I think we should cherish their uniqueness in that sense. But usually when asked, I say I'm an artist, composer, and an audiovisual researcher, because I lecture and I teach on film and digital media and communications also. So there is a crossover between my own strictly kind of creative output and my teaching kind of style and research also. So there's a nice overlap often. And I'm trying at the moment to bring those worlds close together and not see them as like separate parts of my personality, or separate entities which need to be shut off from one another as well. But I am really interested in the relationship between sound, the moving image, and also kind of the wider, more broader arts, whether that's painting, theatre, and the novel as well. So I once harbored long ago ambitions to be a novelist, which is kind of resurfaced in recent years. So that is one of the projects which I'm been slowly kind of accruing and working on over the last couple of years, and more attention is being kind of paid to that.
I love it, and I totally see you there as a writer.
Yeah.
And so I'll just quickly interject, because you mentioned theater, and like I think that the music video for Mirrors definitely, the highlight is how present you are there and you're performing, right? So it's like you said, movement, dance, and so a lot of respect, because that's completely different position from being experimental artists who outputs work which is using like not descriptive, not formal depiction, perhaps, right? Like like you don't sing on your tracks, and then collages they often distort reality, and there you were like performing right in front of the camera, right? So obviously this also shows like how broad the spectrum goes. So could I ask you to just to elaborate on this component, like because obviously then writing a novel, that's a process that's mostly happening in your mind, right? You translating the ideas and then edit them on paper, screen, whatever you prefer. But the embodiment we touched on before, like how does it connect now to where you are creatively at this point?
Yeah. So starting off with that music video and Dance the Body Electric, obviously there is like a practical reason, because I was like, oh, I don't have the budget to, get anybody else. And that's what I would be doing anyway. If the camera wasn't there, I would be, dancing around. I guess it's that saying of, not taking yourself seriously, but taking your art seriously. And those who know me know I'm quite a silly, ridiculous human being. So just letting more and more people see that side of me. Yeah, and I think especially this year, I've really going forward and planning kind of my output, even though I hate to use that word, of the things that I want to put out into the world, rather. Just trying to be more outward facing, I guess, and not kind of hoarding all this stuff that I've been just sitting on and, hiding away on my computer, of just putting it out there, and just taking the leap of faith in that respect. And I guess in relation to what was there was a second part of your question, which I've
the embodiment, or like just being physically present there. That that this is also creative output, right? Like this also artistic expression that it can be captured in film, in photography, or perhaps other ways, but it's like it's happening in the moment. So the performative component, and just using your own body.
Yeah, and I think that, to respond to an earlier question that you had of like, how would you define your work? It is very bodily, and for example, the music that I like to create, I'm primarily making it for myself, and like I said, I'm trying to put more of it out there, but primarily it is for me to listen to and almost dance to, and almost provide a little soundtrack in different parts of my day. I'm like, oh, I want to listen to this. I can't find music what sounds like that. I'll create, or trying to approximate this idea I have in my head of what I want to listen to often. So trying to build worlds or create stuff which, I primarily would like in a really like selfish way most of the time. And it's just always a bonus that other people connect to it. So I'm very selfish in that respect of who I'm creating work for. Is primarily for myself. So in terms of like movement, it is because I find dancing pleasurable. I get, endorphins and serotonin from doing that. And I'm doing it constantly throughout my day. I kind of crave the stimulation of doing certain movements or listening to certain sounds on repeat. And that's just, an aspect of my neurodivergence is, repetition and sensation, I guess. So embodiment and stimulus is very important, I guess, to my general artistic output as well.
In terms of yourself as an artist, like do you see that neurodivergence is just an aspect of you, or is it something that directly is influencing the work you make?
Yeah, most definitely. I think it is. The way that I guess the process of my how I create things, it's always very intense focus, and then I'm like, oh, I'm a bit bored of this. I'll come back to that later. And then, for example, if it's a piece of music, oh, this is what I've made like an introduction to a song. I come back to it. I'm like, oh, let's make this next section. So there might be some kind of contrast between the different sections, but it's always quite modular. And I think I think because I want to hear lots of things or have lots of things going on, things can get quite layered, perhaps sometimes to the detriment of the song itself. But just having...
Definitely, like the piece you create, they sound very orchestral. Like there's definitely the complexity, like you say, in layering of things. I think that it just adds to it.
Yeah, so definitely having to have lots of layers and things going on. I think generally people can only really focus on, 4 to 5 elements at a given time in music. And there's definitely more than 5 to 5 elements often going on in my music. So definitely having a slightly more maximalist approach to sound, and whether that's melodic or just the sheer number of different instruments being layered upon top of each other. But yeah, I definitely think my neurodivergent kind of impacts the way I create, both in kind of the modularity and the quantity of particular things. But then there's a side of me which kind of cries out for minimalism, in the sense of things being stripped back, and having just 1 or 2 elements, and I'm trying to kind of explore that a bit more and resist that initial kind of instinct to be like, let's just layer and have loads of things and just let things breathe, let things be a bit more naked and intimate in that respect as well.
But yeah, I absolutely love that. You see the strength and uniqueness in this, right? That basically you see that it gives you this edge that you can handle higher complexities, right? That this is basically how I'm reading what you're saying, that you have the capacity to basically see the nuances and again the interrelationship of those layers that that's, I'm assuming, uncommon. But following on this thread, I would like to now to speak about how these things connect and inform each other and relate. I mean, image, because you've been making zines, right? We haven't touched on that. So the collages you would then put into zines. So there was also a form of poetic writing. I don't know how you refer to that exactly, but anyway. So the storytelling and compiling several pieces into a complete kind of form. That's something that I noticed. Obviously, like this ties with filmmaking and building narratives, and then now, as you mentioned, writing a novel. So how for you these things coexist? Music with images in a film. So I think like the music video is the best example, because it's like you're present in it. It's your concept. You edited that, and that's like an added layer to the song that you composed, you created. So this for me is super interesting. And what you were also speaking about is the creating worlds, right? So like having this versatility gives you great strength to really be able to think broader and create worlds. So maybe let's try start from this. What does it mean, creating worlds, and what is the world that Oskar Vinter creates and shares with others through the art?
Again, I would say it does come from a very selfish place, in terms of both the music and kind of novel writing is almost like a form of excavation of kind of trying to learn myself or know myself a bit better and kind of unpick certain kind of assumptions and memories and things which just happened in the past, and trying to process those things. So it is very kind of, don't know what the correct word for it is, but inward looking to begin with, at least, of, a memory comes into my mind, and then I'll connect that to another one, and I think, why did I think that at the time, or why did I do X, Y, and Z then and then, and reflecting upon my sense of self, basically, of who was I, and who am I becoming, and the different events which have shaped me, and also trying to, I think, especially with this novel, trying to find, I think, a version of myself which I think I lost, this kind of wide-eyed, innocent, naive version of myself, before being kind of chucked headfirst into the adult world and becoming more cynical. So yeah, like a process of excavation, of trying to pick through different versions of, you know, myself, and going from there, trying to engage in the world in hopefully a meaningful way of exploring, kind of, in particular in relation to the novel, contemporary politics and history, and my own kind of relationship to that, and the recent past also. So definitely a lot to do with self, and then kind of going outwards from there, I would say.
So is this approach to making art something that you have been gradually building up, developing, or is something, was like the place that you were always creating from, like this sort of translating the, first looking inwards and then taking it outside and giving it a form that can be shared with others? Or is it like, you know, the stage that you find yourself right now? And, you know, is it do you see this like basically as the fundamental nature of your art, or perhaps, you know, it can go some other way in the future?
Yeah, I think I'm very much like at a crossroads in terms of, I feel very much in my infancy, kind of artistically speaking. I still feel like a child, both in terms of my output and my kind of outlook, and I kind of want to retain this, like, the childness. I don't want it to become slick or overly produced or professional in a certain way. Of, I don't want it to become a brand, basically. I want it to remain fun, with elements of spontaneity, and yeah, I don't want it to become anything which I'm not, basically. I don't want to be inauthentic, for want of a better word. But with that said, I am definitely trying to think more, and there's this project which I've been kind of thinking over the last couple of months, which has got nothing to do with myself. It would be, you know, writing a sort of biopic in many senses of another person, you know, who I don't know, who I never knew, who died a long time ago. So that is, you know, a departure from my usual kind of interest, or at least artistic approaches to the things that I want to make, you know, focusing on a life for someone else and taking inspiration and making something about a different person. Yeah, I think definitely I can see myself changing quite a lot. And I wouldn't like to be prescriptive or say, no, my art has to look like this. I think it's all about the like happy accidents and the unexpected. And I think that's one of the things that I'm always looking for, both in my own work and in other people's work. I want to see something which makes me think, oh wow, I've never thought of that, or I've never thought anyone could make something like this, or get me feeling a certain feeling. I'm really fascinated in the new, whether you can actually achieve it or you fall short of it, and you make something which is slightly derivative and you think, oh yeah, I'm not going to show anybody that. It just sounds like X, Y, and Z. But even in that, you learn something out about yourself when you're trying to imitate someone else or draw inspiration rather clearly from someone else as well. But I'm definitely open to, trying new things and even working in mediums which I haven't worked in before, and just seeing what happens, basically.
And is there anyone in particular whose work kind of inspires you at the moment?
Oh, most definitely. So Julius Eastman. So that's the biopic in question, though. That's another kind of mammoth thing in itself, which I probably don't have time or the resources for anytime soon, whether that would be like optioning their life rights or anything like that. But definitely being inspired by him. So he was a composer born in 1940, died in 1990. He was black and gay, and one of the kind of lost figures of kind of experimental, or what many people call minimalist music. So often when people hear the word minimalism, they might think of figures such as Terry Riley or Lamont Young, Steve Reich, Philip Glass, or even kind of John Adams. But he is a lost figure of that kind of Miller of music, and his lots of his compositions remain lost, unfortunately. He lived a very interesting, for want of a better word, and a colourful, provocative life, and he was always experimenting, always I don't think there was ever a real separation between his identity and his own persona and the music and work that he produced. And he worked across loads of different mediums. He would play in jazz bands, do work in kind of the disco genre as well as kind of contemporary classical music. He would sing as well, work in opera, and was just, so versatile and took his hand to many different things. And he is definitely a figure which I'm absolutely obsessed with the last couple of months. And it's such a shame that I didn't know who they were previously all these years. And I'm like, why did no one else tell me about him? And thankfully there's been a bit of a resurgence in attention towards his music. A couple of about a decade or so ago, there was the release of his music for the first time on CD, and there's just more kind of interest and attention to his work, which I think is, long overdue. So Julius Eastman is definitely a massive source of inspiration at the moment, and he's made me kind of go back and look at older kind of demos which are a lot more stripped back and kind of piano focused, and think, oh, maybe I should, rework those and release those. And, nothing should ever be taken off the table and think, oh no, that's too cheesy, or that's too poppy, or that's just like, no, if you enjoyed making it and it's what you wanted to make in that moment, do it. You think less about these clear kind of divides between kind of so-called high art or popular music or popular art. Just make the stuff that you're really interested in making and want to see, basically. So Julius Eastman, I can't speak highly enough of him.
And it's quite bizarre that the second of the residents at Wigwell Lodge, Matthew Arthur Williams, he worked on a project dedicated to kind of touching on Julius Eastman.
Amazing. I'm going to get in touch with them.
Absolutely. Okay, I mean, this is great, and what's here emerging, the thread where we can take the conversation further is the practice-based research. So I would like to emphasize that I see and appreciate that you recognize that the research and study is also part of your creative practice, that these things are connected, and so is the lecturing, teaching. So how do they connect for you, and what is the meaning? I mean, it's kind of like, it can be seen that it's obvious that you kind of have to expose yourself to new input, find inspiration, and then digest it on your own terms. But then I think it's radically changing the perspective the moment that you actually need to speak about these things and speak about them in a way that you can communicate it to other people. And perhaps these people have less experience in the field than you have. So so please tell me about the research, the teaching, and then how this kind of ties to your broader practice.
Yeah, most definitely. So for my PhD, it was an audiovisual one. So instead of producing a traditional kind of 80,000, 100,000 word written dissertation, the main focus was that it will be audiovisual, and the research and what I was looking at necessitated that it had to be audiovisual. So I created a portfolio of 5 films, and that was my thesis. But there was, of course, a written element. But rather than the written element being like this master text which explained everything what the film was doing and did that, I wanted it to carry on kind of the experimental and put into question the relationship often presented between the audiovisual and the written. So the written being the most important thing. We go into galleries, often people head straight over to the white box with the black text and read, and that's how you understand something, is via the text. And part of my research was decoupling and putting that into question of, particularly as people interested in film, the visual arts and music, why, even though we obviously love these mediums, we love what is produced in these mediums, we often default back to the textual to be the thing or the way into exploring these. So I guess that is one kind of linkage to my broader kind of creative practice, is wanting to engage in other people's work on the work's own terms and not trying to theorize it in a particular way which diminishes the immediate and kind of bodily responses we may have to something, to automatically jump into intellectualizing and putting things at arm's length. So that's why a lot of my research is audiovisual. Not that I hate writing or anything. I think it is such a vital and important medium. But I think often when people think of thinking, they're thinking of writing on the the particular way of seeing the world through writing. But we don't live in a purely written world. You know, the world itself is not text. It is matter. It is sensation. It is sound. It's all these different things. And I think we lose a lot by neglecting all these aspects and just folding everything back into the textual or the written. So my own research explores that tension and that hierarchy, which those different things are often placed into. But in relation to my teaching, to kind of go back to something you were saying in relation to the Mirror music video, it is very performative. Teaching and standing up in front of people is putting on a show in many regards. It is both a state of vulnerability and something I really enjoy. I really love teaching and trying to convey ideas and hearing students' responses. And I learn so much from teaching. Many people might think of teaching as this one-way street. Someone stands at the front of a room, relays information or explains information, but I often learn more in a teaching environment just because I'm encountering different perspectives that I wouldn't have ordinarily thought of, or hearing points of view which, totally reframes the way I think about certain things. So both, again, in a really selfish way, I get so much from teaching of like, oh, wow. Yeah, just that external stimulus of different people. And I think, it's so vital. And just stepping away from teaching, listening to other people, engaging with other people, actually engaging with it deeply, not in a, I'm listening, actually taking the effort. It's hard to actually switch off, put your phone down and do all of that. But I think it's so invaluable. So there was another aspect of your question which I've now forgotten.
So probably would be great to define for people listening to this the practice-based research then in this context. So I think everyone can understand what the research is, but practice-based research, what does that mean? And from what you said about your PhD, right? That switching to working with visuals rather than kind of doing a write-up and then at the end perhaps as a sort of additional asset to complement the text. I mean, kind of paraphrasing what I understood. So the films were the experimental films were the fundamental part. So what is it? Practice-based research, like in simple terms, and then how does it work for you specifically?
So as I define it, and what I would term my own practice-based research, is that it is the audiovisual being the primary kind of medium which I use, but I'm trying to incorporate more kind of experimental kind of writing as well. So there's like a clear kind of flow between these different mediums. It's not that one is experimental, the other is doing all the explaining, but there's a lot more equality in how I'm using and approaching those mediums. So a lot of my work consists of creating video essays. Perhaps video essays isn't the best term to describe them. They're both serve a kind of like a teaching function. So I often use them in my own teaching, whether that is on a specific idea, such as like modernity or late modernity, or a particular film that we're studying or looking at. But using that as a way to kind of get into the medium of film itself, of using film or the audiovisual to explore the audiovisual. And I think that's, you can do interesting things there. using the medium itself to explore itself. And I think from like a pedagogical teaching point of view, students do get a lot from that approach of, instead of talking about analyzing a film or how you would do it, just actually showing them. And
because it is about experience, right? In the first place.
Yeah, exactly that. Of like, here it is. Experience the analysis itself, and not just talking about it. Not to say that writing isn't a form of action in itself. Also.
But I mean, so obviously it's like the job of a critic is a separate thing, right? So this is important, that this is artist's perspective on art, right? And then still, if someone requires the detailed interpretation to kind of and needs to be guided, essentially, right? Because this is what such texts precisely analyzing, like they're already an interpretation. So this approach that you favor is one that leaves person the freedom to make their own conclusions and interpret the work the way that kind of belongs to them. Is that more or less?
Yeah,
am I getting it correctly?
Yeah, it's finding a balance, because there are certain learning objectives that need to be kind of ticked off, and you need to be giving the students both the right information, but the most important thing from my perspective is equipping people with the analytical skills of basically saying, think, analyze. You've got all the skills yourself. You don't need me to tell you how to think or approach something. It is more trying to get them into the practice of looking at things critically, not saying you should always conclude this or think about things like this. Like, no, go against what I say. I'm not the be all end all of knowledge. Like, knowledge isn't this complete kind of thing. And even though I have certain qualifications and I'm in a position of relative power as a lecturer in relation to the students, I want you to question. I want you to question me and think critically about, why am I telling you certain things? Why am I presenting you certain things in a certain way, and putting things into question? So perhaps it's self-defeating in many senses, but that's the main thing I want students and people who engage with my research to get from, of just questioning and critiquing and thinking deeply. Like, why are certain things the way they are, basically? And I think that's needed more than ever in our current kind of political and social and even artistic kind of moment.
And in many ways, maybe that's basically the essence of creativity, right? Ultimately, like just taking things apart, reassembling them in a different way, and just seeing that there are different perspectives, that there's always another possible variation, different way of viewing things, seeing them. So I think, like the approach, right? So it's not so much about what a specific piece of art means, but it's more about how to approach art in general to figure it out, right? On your own terms, like you said. So it's more like a methodology, and I absolutely subscribe to this, and think that it's also more respectful towards other people, just recognizing that they have the agency, that they can actually figure it out on their own, but perhaps they just need encouragement, and that it is actually possible, and this is the way to go about it. So great stuff.
Yeah, and just trying to I guess going back to this hunger I have within me of like, I want new stuff, and I just trying to imbue that and instill that within the students of like, we can create and think in new ways. We don't know perhaps what they are or what they will look like, but new things and better things can be done, thought and created as well. And perhaps they're just over the horizon at the moment, but the new can still happen. Basically, we can still be surprised and amazed.
Brilliant. I think that this is basically the best message to round up the conversation. I'm trying to stick to what I promise in terms of the running time. So as a summary so we basically, the thing we haven't touched is what is that you're currently working on? Is there something? Are there songs, films in production?
And then let's too many. So
tell me about that.
Hopefully this year, lots of things are going to be released, and it's going to make me look like really prolific. But they've been a long time in the making, not done in a short amount of time. So there's a couple of films. So there's a couple of short horror films, which are hopefully in festivals later this year. So I did composed the music and worked on the sound design for those films. So those are by an American director called Zamfi Parajillo. And they're primarily a horror director. So there's 2 horror films coming out. There's also a city symphony with my good friend Gemma Penny. They are also an audiovisual researcher, and they're interested in Birmingham as like a cinematic space as well. So kind of taking inspiration from the city symphony films of the 20s and 30s. You may think of, for example, Man with a Movie Camera is like an early example of capturing a place and editing in perhaps a collage-like way and getting the feel of a place. It's like a cinematic portrait. So we've made a short about under 15 minutes long city symphony of Birmingham, and I've composed the score for it, and it was just such a fun thing to make. I was given quite free range in terms of the sound and sampling and using the actual kind of field recordings of the city and turning them into instruments and using clocks and traffic and car sounds and mixing that in to like a contemporary classical kind of score was really fun. But also, a really, really kind of rewarding collaborative experience with Gemma as well. There is another project which will be released this year. Is a collaborative photo works pamphlet, which kind of merges poetry and photography with Charlie Fitz, my partner, and I'm really excited for that to come out also. So it's in collaboration with Jane and Jeremy, who are zine makers based in Brighton, I believe. I hope I'm getting that correct. In collaboration with Photoworks. I'm really excited for that to come out also. But yeah, I'm trying to release more music, which is just sitting there. So trying to, put more out into the world, and hopefully people kind of connect and resonate with it also as well.
So it's absolutely amazing to hear about all this collaboration, because before we were, and that's been covered in the film we made after the Wigwell launch. So your collaboration with Charlie, but I'm absolutely amazed that this is growing, and this is also where where I see myself this year. More collaboration, no more exclusively the one-man band projects.
And I think that it's so important, just getting that outside and different perspective and like a different way of thinking, and but also kind of logistically, like, oh, someone else is working on this. I want it to be really good. I want them to think that I'm reliable and want to work with me again. So I'm going to try my best. So there's that I always find I work better when I'm collaborating. I'm not resting on my laurels as much and be like, I don't need to like release this anytime soon. There's like more deadlines. There's a more urgent need for things to get done, which I find really useful.
And then, like you were saying, there's always a surprise there, right? That working with other people, you can never quite know, unless you choose to choose a dictatorship and just instrumentalize people. But otherwise, it's always takes a different turn, and that's the biggest fun. Mm. Plus, because I kind of see myself as a maker, and like this is how I like spending my time making things, and so doing it in company is just more fun. And then like probably after a while that you've explored things that you can do solo, then it's kind of natural step up to work with others.
Yeah, and I think that's such a massive part of it. It's just hanging out with people that you love or you like or inspire you, and just spending time with them, even if nobody sees what you make, or you don't end up making the thing that you set out to make. It's just just spending time with people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly right. Ultimately, this is about it. I think that living the life in a most fun way, right? That's most aligned with the person that you are.
Most definitely. And in talking about, I'm so excited to like hear or know more about your own kind of music and your musical journey that you're currently on. And where are you at the moment with that?
Well, so the goal was to have the first song ready by the end of December, and it still hasn't happened. But it's approaching, probably a few weeks, and my challenge right now is that obviously I'm quite advanced in different mediums, and really accepting that the first piece I'm going to create is not going to be on the same level as I could create, a film or some visual artwork. And so becoming also creative, right? So restricting a little bit. So I'm going towards the minimalism out of necessity, that basically trying to overcomplicate it was extending the process, and possibly I spent months already, and coming from the place that it has to be basically improvised, progressive, innovative structure, and ultimately landing that let's keep it simple. Let's make it like a pop song, but it's like it has to happen, right? And then I can move on to the next thing and experiment further. But this has been like seriously like a big block that I thought that it has to be on pair on the other work that I do, which I hope I can say is at professional level, and then all of a sudden something here which is kind of awkward, and you sound like a teenage band, right? But there's a place for that, and I'm also accepting that this is my journey, right? And so why should I be upset about it, right? Like this is where I am musically.
Most definitely, yeah. Well, I'm so excited to hear when it.
Well, me too. Believe it like that. On the first one, who's anticipating this release the most.
Amazing. Well, I can't wait.
Well, thank you for that. So on the final note, please, if you could give the details about the screening in Barbican. So when
I'm going to get them up, so I don't get them wrong.
So I will link it up, but yeah, about that the event.
Okay, so it is on Thursday, the 29th of January, starting at 6:30 at the Barbican. And tickets are currently £10. There's loads of different discounted tickets as well, and it will approximately be 70 minutes in total, with a panel discussion, which I think I should be taking part in afterwards, which will run for about 15 minutes or so. But yeah, love to see and meet new people there, see old friends there also. And if you're able to make it, be amazing also. And that is the Young Barbican Pick and Mix, Feeling the Fantasy. So a relaxed screening exploring disability, dance and movement.
Brilliant. Okay, I'll include the link in the description to the podcast.
Oh, amazing. Thanks so much.
All right. So thank you. Thank you for this. This was Oscar Vinter on Empirical Animal Podcast Experiment. Links to his website and his social media pages are included in the description. Thanks for listening, and I see you in the next episode.